Today it's Monday, September 11, 2023. It's week 4 of my carnivore lifestyle and health journey. I'm also going to talk about my experience with periodontal disease and hair loss. So let's jump into the daily videos to see how my week went. Monday, I woke up and did 10 minutes on the treadmill on speed 4. I was really nervous today. I had an appointment scheduled with a periodontist. When I was about 5 years old, the dentist told my mum that he would need to extract about 10 baby teeth all at once to make room for the permanent teeth that were trying to push their way through. And if he didn't do this, that she would have a very expensive orthodontic bill to look forward to in my teens. Well, I don't remember much about that procedure. All I remember was walking out of the dentist with a towel under my face. I was bleeding, in pain, I was crying, and that's where my fear of dentists originated from. A few years later, once all my permanent teeth had come through, the dentist decided I needed like a resin, sort of plastic stuff put in my teeth. I had really deep grooves in my teeth, so that was to help try and prevent any cavities from forming in those really deep areas. That was a pretty painless procedure, which was good. But his decisions were great. As a teen and young adult, I didn't need any further work. Everything was pretty good, and my teeth were very healthy otherwise. So moving on quite a few years, life got pretty hectic. My daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and at the same time my mum was diagnosed with non-small cell lung cancer. And my focus just was entirely on them. I was their primary carer for both, and lots to learn, and lots of hospital and doctor and medical appointments to attend. And so my focus on my personal health and just was non-existent. I was just tunnel vision like a robot, dealing with all of their appointments and caring for them. So that was my priority, was to make their lives more comfortable, learn as much as I could to get them through what they were going through. And my personal care was put on the back burner. I did start to gain quite a bit of weight during that time as well. I guess as you wind down for the night, I was exhausted, and comfort food was just was my friend, and not the right choices either. So my teeth didn't appreciate any of that, and over the years they just deteriorated quite rapidly. After my mum passed away, I kind of fell into a much deeper depression, and just generally gave up, and my weight just ballooned after that, and I didn't care. I was just I would just throw myself into work from home, so that was just an easy escape. I didn't have to see anybody. Everything was just done online, and nobody could see what was going on behind the screen. So I was in my little safe place here at home, and I just continued to gain weight, to eat all the wrong things. I had pretty much given up on just everything at that time. And I got to this point that I couldn't even brush my teeth. I couldn't stand at the bathroom sink for long enough. 10 seconds and my back would be on fire, and I just couldn't hold my weight up to brush my teeth. So my oral hygiene just was non-existent by then, and that didn't do me any favours either. And then along came COVID, and about a month into COVID, I had a fall here just outside in the hallway, and I knocked my 4 bottom teeth. I'm surprised they didn't fall out. They were so loose. They were literally waving at people when I was talking. It was disgusting and really embarrassing. So I hardly ever smiled after that. I couldn't eat properly. I had to bite and chew with the backs. I was just scared. Even if a piece of bread and my teeth would just fall out. They were that loose. And there's not a lot I could do about it. We were in lockdown. I think Melbourne was one of the most locked down states in the world. And it wasn't deemed an emergency, and even if it was, there's not a lot I could have done. I couldn't get out. I don't think I could have fit in the dentist chair to have my teeth checked anyway, so I was kind of a bit stuck. And that didn't really help with my depression or will to live either. So yeah, moving on. July 2021, I had been on carnivore for 6 months, and I had lost quite a bit of weight by then, and I was feeling pretty good, and I needed to get something done about these teeth. So I bit the bullet and called the local dentist and made an appointment, and I'm so glad I did. He was wonderful. I told him about my experience with dentists in the past, and he was just so gentle and reassuring, and he walked me through the whole process, what he was going to do. We did some x-rays, and he sat down, and as you can see from the x-ray, my teeth are just literally hanging in there. The black parts is where gum should be. My gum recession was just very severe, and he basically said that it was out of his hands. My periodontal gum disease was so bad that he needed to refer me to a periodontist to talk about what my options were moving forward. I was devastated because I finally found a dentist that I felt comfortable with, and now I'm going to have to meet a new one. And so yeah, that set my anxiety pretty high. And he made the phone call, and they were fully booked for 8 months. So they put me on a waiting list, and I had to wait the full 8 months. So 8 months came around pretty quickly. I'm surprised my teeth were still hanging in there. 3 of them had actually started to set, so they were crooked, but they weren't as wobbly, and I just had the one that was waving, so it was a little bit better. And because of the carnivore diet, I think my gum health had improved so much. My gums weren't bleeding as much, and they didn't seem to be as inflamed as when I initially went to the dentist. So I did personally see a big improvement, and my oral health just felt a lot better than what it had been, or where I'd come from. So the periodontist, again, she was really lovely. So I was blessed to have another nice person to look after me. And she basically said that my gum disease, periodontal disease, was very, very severe. And I had 2 options. One was to remove all my teeth and get a full set of dentures. And the second option was to just remove the 4 in the front. They were too far gone. And give them a really good clean and just see what happens. And that's the option I chose. I wanted to keep as many of my real teeth that I could. She organised to do the cleaning, which happened over 4 visits. So she did a quarter of my mouth on each visit, and that was basically cleaning under the gums and all the teeth. And that was not a very comfortable experience, a little bit painful, and I didn't like that at all, but it had to be done. I wanted to keep my teeth, so I had to go through that. And then I had to go back to the dentist after that. He then extracted my 4 teeth, and I had a little denture which to replace those 4 teeth. So they're looking a lot better now. The appointment today was just another follow-up periodontal appointment, just to check the progress and see how things were going. Unfortunately, I had a different lady today. She, again, was a lovely lady, and she did another full clean, so up under the gums, but she did the whole mouth this time. Obviously, it wasn't as bad, and it was just, I guess, a maintenance kind of thing. And she did say that I have to do this every 3 months. I don't know for how long. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get to the stage where they can say, oh, you've got the all clear, it's all looking good now, just continue going to the dentist for your regular 6-month checks. That's my goal. So hopefully we'll get to that point. She couldn't really tell me if there was much improvement since the last visit, because she hadn't seen me before, but personally I feel there's been a massive improvement. My gums are not as inflamed anymore, and they're not bleeding at all when I brush them. I'm flossing and brushing, once or twice a day, depending on how many meals I have. So I'm really, really diligent with my oral health now, and will continue to be, because I don't want to lose any teeth. there has been a lot of movement as well since it's been healing. This tooth here, you can see, has dropped a little bit. You could actually fit a credit card in there. The gap in that tooth was really pronounced, and that has seemed to have gone back into an alignment now. It has dropped a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that. I'm hoping that's just going to fix itself over time. Apart from that, I'm really happy with how my teeth are looking, and yeah, we'll see what my options are with that one later down the track. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more healing and settling to do, but this way of eating has definitely improved my diet situation. I was borderline having to extract all my teeth. They were pretty bad, and I do have photos. I'm not going to put them on here because I'm really ashamed of them, and they were pretty disgusting looking, and I'm really happy with how they're looking now. So carnivore for the win when it comes to periodontal disease. I'm not fully healed yet, but I am getting there. On my way home, I started experiencing issues with my phone. Again, it's been giving me grief for such a long time. I keep disconnecting from the internet, and I can't make calls or do anything. And when you rely on the navigator to get your way around Melbourne, you're kind of in a bind. Like, where do you go? I can't even ring anyone to say, hey, I'm lost, help me get from A to B. So yeah, I did manage to get my way home, and I was quite upset and annoyed, and my husband was like, right, let's go shopping. So he took me to the local shopping centre, and we visited the Apple shop, and he bought me the new iPhone 4. So I was stoked with that. It's super fast compared to my old phone, and connects with my car, and I can use the navigator, and it hasn't given me any grief at all. So I was very happy with that. But I did have a bit of an incident in the Apple store. After looking around at the phones and all the accessories and options, we sat down so she could do the transfer and sync my old data onto the new phone. And I started to feel really weak, to the point I had to put my head down on the desk, and I thought, I'm going to pass out. Thinking back now, I didn't have anything to eat or drink all day, and my morning was pretty traumatic at the periodontist. My whole body was violently shaking while I was in the chair, and even the periodontist was like, oh, are you okay, Lindy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, but I wasn't. I was so nervous, and I just think the whole morning took its toll on me, and then with the lack of hydration, it really got to me at the Apple store. So I had to put my head down and ask my hubby to find me some water quickly, because I thought I was going to pass out. Even the staff there were like, oh, should we call an ambulance? You're so pale, you're not looking well at all. And they were quite concerned about me. So after a few sips of water, I started to feel much better, and the colour returned to my face. So yeah, that was a bit odd, but look, that is a huge problem with me. I always forget to drink, and I've got this bottle here which I made for myself last night, and that's all I've had to drink, and it's nearly 9 o'clock this morning. I do have some electrolytes in there because I always pop some in there in the morning, and I should be drinking that, and I will drink that after this video. To finish the day, I just couldn't eat anything. My gums were so sore, inflamed still from all the poking and prodding that they put me through. So I couldn't bear to eat anything. I just sipped on some warm water. My mouth was still very numb, and just very uncomfortable, and went to bed. So that was my Monday. Tuesday, my gums were still very sore and tender from yesterday's ordeal, but I did get up and did 10 minutes on the treadmill on speed 4, and then I just threw myself into work. I had to catch up on all my work that I didn't do yesterday and today, so I had a busy day of emails and web stuff. I didn't have anything to eat until night time. I managed to just do some scrambled eggs. They were nice and soft, and I didn't have to worry about chewing. So a few scrambled eggs, and that was my Tuesday. Wednesday, I woke up and did my 10 minutes on the treadmill on speed 4. It was a beautiful morning, and my daughter Ella and I had an appointment with a hairdresser just for a trim and touch up some colour, hide some of these greys. And it was very interesting. The hairdresser mentioned that when I walked in, she thought my hair was quite thick, but as she was working on my head, it was surprisingly very, very thin. And I mentioned to her that I am currently on a weight loss journey and that I had lost an extreme amount of weight so far. And she's like, yeah, that would explain it. I have quite a few clients that are on weight loss journeys and they're all going through the same thing. So when I started carnivore, the weight dropped off very quickly and I was losing hair in clumps, handfuls of hair daily, and it was very frightening. And I'm lucky I had a lot of hair to start with and that I am not bald. But it is so much thinner than what I'm used to. And look, my body is just prioritizing healing in other areas. So the hair is not an essential. It's just makes you look good, I guess. So it's definitely not an important part of the healing process. But I'm hoping that once my body settles and I'm closer to my goal weight, and that that things will settle down and hopefully the hair will thicken up again. Fingers crossed, but we'll see what happens. After the appointment, we went to visit my other daughter who lived just around the corner from where we were, and she made us a beautiful lunch. She has one of those mini charcoal grills, and we sat out on the balcony while she cooked some steak and some chicken shasliks for lunch, which was very delicious. And so we had a lovely afternoon just talking and laughing and playing with the animals and spending some quality time together. Ella and I then headed home and I jumped into my work. I didn't have dinner that night because we had a late lunch and I was still full from that, so just the one meal today. And that was my Wednesday. Thursday, I woke up to a pretty gloomy morning. It was miserable outside. It was wet and cold, freezing. I got up and I didn't want to jump on the treadmill. I just popped my hoodie on over my PJs and thought, I'm having a pajama day today. I haven't done that in months, and I just wanted to keep warm and be comfortable. And we don't use our heater at the moment. Our last gas bill was through the roof and scared us a little bit, so we're just trying to rug up and keep warm without using the heater. So I had a huge day ahead of me of emails, so comfort and being warm was more important than anything today. I thought I would try and start my day with breakfast because I did mention last week that I was going to try and eat earlier in the day and then start my fasting in the afternoon and go through the night. And that just hasn't happened. Life got in the way with all my appointments and different things. So I thought today we'll give that a go. And it didn't work too well. I just warmed up some of the leftover steak from my daughter's yesterday. And after 2 or 3 bites, that was it. I just found it got stuck in my throat. I just wasn't ready to eat. So I just popped it back in the fridge to have a bit later. I think I just need to gradually work on that. Maybe bring my meals forward an hour every couple of days until I start to eat breakfast and lunch and then fast for the rest of the day. So I'll try and incorporate that in over the next few weeks and see how I go. But yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm happy with the progress that I'm making and just the way things are. So yeah, a big day of emails and work, and hubby came home and we just cooked up some salmon for dinner, which is always delicious and one of our favourites. So that was my Thursday. Friday, Another quiet day ahead. I did get up and I did 15 minutes on the treadmill on speed 4. I did feel a little guilty that I didn't jump on the treadmill yesterday, so I thought I'd make up for it and do the extra 5 minutes. And I was really pleased that I was able to do the whole 15 minutes without stopping. My stamina has obviously improved a lot. I used to have to stop a couple of times throughout exercising, and now I can just stay on the treadmill for 15 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to continue to try and escalate that over the next few weeks and bump that up a little bit and see how I go. So that was exciting. I just jumped straight into my work and emails, did a bit of housework. It was a really cruisy day, just doing stuff around the house. For dinner, I popped a pork belly in the oven, and hubby and I shared that for dinner. And another quite cruisy day. Friday was over. Saturday, it was another wet day, pretty cold and wet outside, and I had an appointment to get my eyebrows done. I actually have an underactive thyroid, which I currently take medication for, and one of the symptoms is you can actually get bald patches on your eyebrows. And this one in particular, I had a huge gap in the middle, and I was always very conscious of it. And the first place I look when I meet someone new is their eyebrows. I don't know, just eyebrow envy, I guess. I spoke to a beautician a few months ago, and my options were that she could do a henna, which would be to paint the eyebrows back in and fill in those gaps, and I'd have to get that reapplied every 5 to 6 weeks. Or she could do an eyebrow tattoo and just tattoo that area again and try to sort of blend it in and make it as natural looking as she could, and that would last anywhere 5 to 6 years. So that option was more appealing to me rather than having to return every 6 weeks to get this done. So she did that over 2 sessions. It wasn't painful, it was just a little bit uncomfortable. I think I must have had thousands of little pinpricks in my eyebrows and then little strokes where she sort of drew the hair back in there, and I don't think they've turned out too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. No more bald patches, so I was happy with that. So my visit today was just basically to just make sure everything was looking okay, any touch-ups if needed, and just shape my eyebrows. My daughter is a florist and she has her own florist shop just around the corner from the beautician, so I thought I'd stop in there for a surprise visit. And it was lovely to catch up with the girls and with my daughter. Saturday is a market day, so the workshop was full, and I helped prepare some of the flowers and put them out on the floor ready for customers to buy, and it was just lovely to catch up with everyone. So I spent a few hours there and then headed home, and I found Scott and Ella waiting for me. They were hungry and wanted to go out for lunch. So we headed to our local cafe again and had the famous carnivore platter. Then we went grocery shopping. I had to make a dessert for the next day, so we got the ingredients for that, and I went home and made a tiramisu. I've been making tiramisu for years. It's always been a favourite among friends and family. They always request it whenever we go anywhere, so I didn't mind making it for them. I did try a half a teaspoon of the cream mixture just to make sure the flavours were all there. And to be honest, I didn't really like it. I found it sickly sweet, and there is a little bit of alcohol in there, Bailey's in the cream mixture, and that taste was just in my mouth for hours afterwards, and it was just unpleasant. My husband loves to lick the beaters in the bowl when I'm done, and he really enjoyed it, so I know the tiramisu was okay. So as long as he was happy, then I was happy. So it was a busy, better and lovely Saturday. Sunday, Scott, Ella and I got up and we headed down to his parents' house for lunch. It was his mum's birthday and she prepared a beautiful lunch. We had a meatloaf and she did have some roasted vegetables, and a little bit of pumpkin and cauliflower did end up on my plate, which I had, and I'm okay with that. I ate it mainly to keep the peace. They are very happy with my progress and amazed at how far I've come, but you know, there's still that talk about you've got to have your veggies and blah blah blah, and I didn't feel like the lecture or anything today, so a mouthful of pumpkin and cauliflower was enough to keep the peace, and I was happy with that. Dessert was then served, my tiramisu, and there was macaroons and lemon meringue cake or something. And I didn't have anything. I just sat down on the couch. The others brought their bowls and we all sat around and talked. I just sat there, talked, enjoyed the company, and I was content. I didn't feel like I was missing out. The meatloaf was enough for me, and I was fully satiated, and I just didn't have a craving to or want to go and have any sweets. They offered me a coffee and I'm like, no, I'm cool, I'm fine. Didn't even have a coffee. Wow. For me, I'm usually the first one to attack the dessert bar. I love my sweets, and the want for it was just not there. I was totally content, and yeah, that was a game changer. I was so proud of myself. I think they were amazed too. I know my husband went back for 4th servings of tiramisu. He really enjoyed himself, and yeah, good luck to him. But yeah, I just didn't want it, and I was fine, happy about it. Didn't faze me at all. So yeah. Then we headed home late afternoon and we dropped my daughter off in the city. She had a party to attend, and hubby and I just watched a bit of TV and played with my birds. Poor things had been locked up all day. They're used to having me home, and they're always out of the cage and flying around here and sitting on my head and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So yeah, I just feel really bad when I'm not home, and I miss them like crazy. So Ella rang around midnight to tell me there were no trains. Scott had already gone to bed because he had an early start, so I jumped in the car and drove 45 minutes back into the city to pick her up and brought her home. So yeah, that was fun. I normally don't like to go to the city by myself. I find it really daunting. There's always so much traffic, and just I get lost easily. So yeah, when there's a lot going on, I kind of panic. But there was no traffic on the road at midnight, so it was just a few cars here and there. I had my navigator on and the music, and I just drove in there, and I was able to take my time, and I really enjoyed just driving by myself at night, and picked her up and we came home. So yeah, that's a big thing for me, just stepping out on my own and going to places that I'm not familiar with, and yeah, I did really well, so huzzah. So overall, I had a pretty good week. I didn't stick to my plan. I didn't eat early in the day. Life happened and I just had to adjust. More exercise, tick. I got that down, so I'm really happy about that. So what happened on the scale this week? Well, my weight as of this morning was 136.3 kilos, but I did buy a new scale and I was about 1 kilo heavier on those. This scale does measure a lot of different metrics. It tells you what your BMI is, your visceral fat, border weight, and bone density, all that kind of stuff. In future, I will use the new scale just so I can track all these other numbers. I'm not going to get too hung up on the numbers. It's more just a bit of a toy because I can now. There was such a long time that I couldn't step on the scale and see the error message. So I'm just excited to actually see numbers now. And yeah, I'll continue to just use that scale and just track what's going on, just for interest. I just love being a guinea pig and just learning what my body does, and learning how I can sort of optimize things moving forwards. My goals for this week, I've decided I'd like to focus on Lion Diet this week, which is beef, salt and water. No reason, I just love meat, and we've had quite a bit of pork and other stuff this week, and I just miss my steak. So I'm going to do Lion this week, and I'll stick to either 1 or 2 meals a day depending how I feel. So no hard and fast rules, just go by how I'm feeling. And I'm going to work on increasing my exercise, just bump that up every couple of days by 5 minutes or whatever, and yeah, just try and get my stamina up. And with this nicer weather coming up, I'm hoping to try and get outside and do maybe a lap around the block on my own, and yeah, if I do, I'll definitely take the camera with me and show you all my trip.